It's the most wonderful time of the year. We have the pandemic. We have all those wonderful mandates that come from the people that don't know what we're dealing with every single day. And then if that isn't enough, we have all the pressure of the winter holidays. Oh my goodness. And then we have my sidekick. Meet Henry. Henry represents every single change, challenge, setback, or adversity you have ever had to deal with. Henry is known to steal from you. Henry will steal what you once knew. Henry will steal your confidence. Henry will steal your security. And Henry doesn't care that Henry does that. And we have a choice when Henry comes into our life. We can either bounce back like Henry does, or we can bounce up. Now, Henry here, think about this. Whenever you're going through adversity, how many times, or a setback or a change, and it can be a minor change or it can be a major change. But anytime change happens in your life, you have to make a choice. We can either be like Henry, the change hits us, and we bounce back. We never grow, we never thrive, we never really move from status quo. That's one choice. And our other choice is we can bounce up. Now imagine a basketball player who's on the court, and he jumps up and he gets that rebound and he pulls it down. He now has control of the ball. He's control of the court, the next play, and possibly the game. Every single day that there is a change, we have a choice. We can either bounce back or we can bounce up. How many here have ever gone through some type of adversity? Yeah, adversity likes us. It likes to stick around too. And the thing with adversity is sometimes we will hear people say to us, oh, just bounce back. Oh, just bounce back. You'll bounce back. Now, if we take their advice and we bounce back, we'll be like Henry here. We never move, we never grow. But if we bounce up, we take control. We take control of our life. We can't control everything when adversity hits, but we have the choice to control what we can control. Now, I know you're probably thinking, yeah, sure, that sounds good, but MJ, how do you do it? I know. Wouldn't it be great if we had this manual and it said, Adversity 101. If you're going through this, go to this page. If you're going through this, go to this page. It would be great if life handed us a handbook to go with every single adversity we had. I don't know, has anybody found something like that yet? I haven't. Have you? It'd be great. However, we can put tools and techniques into place that allow us to bounce up when we're going through adversity. So the first step, let's do a simple exercise here. I'm going to give you a set of 5 words. And then what I'd like you to do is give it a thumbs up if the set of words, they make you smile, or they remind you of something of childhood, or maybe they make you feel good or just neutral. Now, if the set of words, each word, if it happens to make you feel kind of yucky or negative, give it a thumbs down. Got it? Are you ready? Yes. Okay, the first word, wave. Can be a wave like this or an ocean wave. All right, looks like we got thumbs up on that one. Okay, how about magic wand? Ooh, that was a quick thumbs up. How about Buzz Lightyear? I am a Disney fan. Anyone else? All right, we got thumbs up. How about thank you? Yeah. And the last one, six-pack. Now it can be six-pack core. Okay, that's where Scott might come in, not me. Or it can be a six-pack of water or a six-pack of adult beverages. Thumbs up? All thumbs up. Great. Okay, now the next set of words. And the first one is mandates. Pandemic. Ooh, quick on that thumbs down. Chemo. Yeah. Radiation. Quick thumbs down. I'm sorry. All right, we have kind of some neutrals here, but mostly thumbs down. And the last one, challenging customers or challenging relatives. Major thumbs down there. Now here's what's crazy about the two sets of words. The second set, which everybody gave a thumbs down, almost except one word, is the same words as what I gave you the first time around. The difference is I flipped it. And that's one of the tools and techniques that you can put in your life anytime you run into some type of a challenge or a setback. And here's what it is. Flip it is taking a negative word and then flipping it to a positive word. So when I said the word magic wand, that made people smile. I got a huge thumbs up for that one. And magic wand was my flip it word for chemo. You see, in 2016, I was given a prognosis, a 20% chance of surviving if chemo didn't work. And chemo had a 50% chance of working. And I knew that I needed to do something in order to make it through the next 18 months of that journey. That's how long the treatment would be. If I was going to have any type of positivity in my life and my family's life. Here's why. After going through in my own headspace and dealing with that prognosis, I needed to share it with my adult children. So I had planned, we had a happy hour at my house. And they're adult children, so they could drink those adult beverages. And everybody was having fun. I had appetizers there, and I hit them with the news. Now, if you have ever watched any type of a Super Bowl game or any major game in professional sports, you know what it looks like when an athlete loses the Super Bowl. You can see their body language. It just looks like this. All the wind was taken out of their sail whenever they lose a game. After I shared that prognosis with my children, the same exact thing happened. Their body language changed, and I could see them sinking down into the chair. They were reactive. And anytime we are hit with some type of adversity, we are reactive. It's an automatic response. And the only way we can change it is if we are intentional about being proactive. I knew that night that it was up to me to change the direction of our family. It was up to me to change the direction of our conversations. My conversations with my kids, my conversations with my customers, my conversations with my clients and my friends. And in order to do that, I needed to flip it. I needed to flip every word that had a negative connotation that was related to that prognosis. So that's exactly what I did. So chemo became magic wand, as I said. And radiation, that became buzz. Because when you think about buzz, you have to smile. And the IV that I was hooked up to for 7 hours, that became my boyfriend. Because you know what? If you're hooked up to something for 7 hours and that's taking a bio break with you, well, you know what? It better be somebody intimate to you. So that's why he became my boyfriend. And every single word, I just flipped it. So here's how you can do flip it. So think in your head of a negative word that you have, maybe something that's on autopilot for you. And you know every time you say it, you kind of feel yucky, you know? Your shoulders slump in, your head slumps down. And then, so imagine you have a piece of paper. So on the left side, that's your negative word. And then on the right side of the piece of paper, that's the positive word, the word you want to flip it to. And then once you flip it, you say it out loud 3 times. Because now when you say it out loud, you're engaging your brain. You're engaging the centers of your brain that have to deal with logic and reasoning. And when we're able to do that, we now have a different body language with it, and also tone of voice completely changes. And because we said it out loud 3 times, we've pushed the negative aside. So there's another reason why we want to write it down. Research shows when we write it down, we make it happen. The other part of that is when we write it down, we are releasing that negativity from our brain and we're putting it on a piece of paper. When we say it out loud, we are now practicing it so that we can cement it in our brain. And that's flip it. So simple, but yet it can change the direction of our conversations and it changes the direction of our mindset. Anybody here like baseball? Oh, good. Half of us like baseball. Awesome. So there was a player in the 90s. Actually, he was a pitcher for the Houston Astros. Anybody ever live in Houston at any time? So his name was Jose Lima. Jose Lima was considered the best pitcher in the league in 1999. He was on the All-Star team, and he had won 21 games in 1999. And then in the year 2000, the Astros moved to what is now called Minute Maid Park. It had a few name changes in between. So the first time Jose stood on the mound, he looked at home plate, and then he looked at left field. And his words were, "I will never be able to pitch in here. That fence is way too close." What happened the following year in 2000, now remember 99, he was considered the best pitcher in the league. And in 2000, that single change had him losing 16 games. He went from being the top of his field to being the bottom of the field because of what he shared with himself, that negativity. Susan David, who is a resilience researcher, and she's also professor at Harvard, she says that our thoughts and our words and our stories drive how we live and how we lead. what we say, whether it's internal or external, will determine how we handle change, how we handle setbacks, how we handle major adversities. And that's why Flip It is so great, because it's something you can do with a sheet of paper. It doesn't cost you anything. It's a sheet of paper, and it can change the direction of your life. So that's the first step in bouncing up. And that is power up. Using the power of your words to increase your resilience and the opportunity to make change when you need to. Now, the second part here is play up. How many have ever heard the Jim Rohn quote, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with"? It's a fabulous quote. How many people have ever sat down and you wrote down the 5 people you spend the most time with? We usually don't. We don't until someone points it out to us. So with that, when you think about who in your life could be good for you and who in your life might not be good for you, have you ever sat down and figured out who could be toxic and who you might need to push to the side? Maybe not so much push to the side, but limit time with them. How many here have ever had a naysayer in their life? Oh, yeah. Last night when we were here for the happy hour reception, I was talking to Sarah. Sarah is one of the podcasters from Unqualified Therapist. And we were talking about what different people have said to us that have been in our life. And I had shared with her, back when I started writing, and this is probably in 95, 96, 97, I had belonged to a critique group. And this was a paid group. You paid dearly to be part of it. And it was a 2-hour session, and you had 10 minutes to read your writing, and then you had a 2-minute critique. And the person who was leading it, she was considered the grande dame in children's writing. At the time, I had small children, and I thought, I can write children's fiction. So this one night, I am reading my story to her, to the group. And the story was similar to Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Anybody have ever read that to their kids or read it when? Yes. So it was similar to that, but it had to do with geography instead. So after I was finished reading, and I'm so happy with what I have, and she said, the grande dame said, "Oh, you would have to be on drugs in order to like that story." No one said a word. Complete silence. Sometimes we have people in our life, we put them in our life intentionally, but yet they're not good for us. And in this case, I put her in my life intentionally because I signed up for that critique group. So it's looking at who is around us. She was a naysayer. She wasn't the only naysayer I had had. After I had my first book published with a major publishing company, and I have a New York agent, someone who was a colleague in the writing field had said to me, "You will never get published again. Your writing is horrible." I took a step back. I could let that naysayer shake my confidence, or I could use that to be more determined, and to be unshakable in my goals and in what I wanted. And it was crazy that she said that, because at the time, I had more than 2,000 articles that were published under my pen name. And I had already had several books. And today, Bounce Up is number 11. Prove the naysayers wrong. Be unshakable, but have the right people in your life. And here's how to do that. So, anybody have had teenagers? Anybody currently have teenagers? You were a teenager at one time. We'll go with that. So, one day, I get in my car. My son now, he's in high school and he's driving. I get in my car. He had used it prior to me, and it's on empty again. And I call him. I'm like, Josh, you left me on empty again. Like, where are you going? What are you doing? Now, prior to this, he told me he was going to the basketball court. I'm like, it's 5 minutes from our house. What are you doing? He's like, well, I'm not going to that basketball court. I'm going to the one in the city. I'm like, why are you going to the one in the city when we have one 5 minutes away from us? He said, because they have the pit players. I'm like, so? He's like, well, the pit players are better than I am. I'm like, okay, it still doesn't make sense to me. He's like, Mom, I'm a D3 player. They're D1 players. When I play against a D1 player, I become better. He said, they're 2 steps above me. Made sense. Makes sense, right? I'm like, oh my goodness. My high school son taught me a lesson. So you're a player. So think about a goal that you want. Think about, just take 15 seconds right now and think about where you are in your life and what destination you would like to get to. What goal do you want to achieve? And think about somebody who is on the way to achieve that. This player is 2 steps above you. That's your player. That's an intentional player to be one of your 5 players in your inner circle. Now the second, and there's actually 5 different types of people. Due to time, we'll talk about 2. So the second player is what is called a mountain guide. And your mountain guide is the person that already reached the mountain. They hit whatever goal you want to achieve. They've already been there. They have all the scars. They have all the bruises. They have all the experiences that they can share to help you get to the top of that mountain. So one of the professionals that I had interviewed in my book, Bounce Up, he is a chef, and he was going through a really tough time. He was going through a divorce. His restaurant was actually going under, and he needed to do something to get out of this fog that he was in. We've all been there. You hit rock bottom. You need something to help you get out. So he started going to the gym every day. And he needed to go to the gym too because he was a chef and he liked to cook with a lot of oils and fats and things that add weight to the body. Going to the gym helped him keep in shape. So he ran into a longtime friend there, and this friend started talking to him about being a bodybuilder, joining a bodybuilding competition, registering for one. Because he said that will give you a goal. That will help you understand what you need to do in the way of working out and also in the way of cooking. That was his mountain guide, because this gym friend had already won several competitions in the bodybuilding field. So when Chef West needed someone to be his mountain guide, this was the perfect one. And here's the biggest reason. Not only could he help him with what he needed to do, but he also knew every single excuse that Wes could come up with. How many times have we made excuses about something? Oh, I can't do that because of this. Oh, I can't do that because of that. Well, your mountain guide is your kick you in the butt person. This person is not going to take excuses. This person is going to say, sorry, MJ, I've already been there. I know every excuse that you can come up with. No way. Get your butt back going. You can do it. We've all been there. We've all used those excuses. When we have a mountain guide in our life, one of those 5 people, it helps us reach those goals. Gives us the kick in the butt we need. Professional athletes are great for coming up with ways to get out of their own head. So another one is Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, we have any New York Yankee fans here? Ooh, we have one over there. Awesome. So Aaron Judge, one of the things he does whenever, so imagine this. He's in the batter's box, he's ready to hit, and he hears the other team, making some nasty chants, or he hears someone in the stands trying to get in his head, because the fans, they try to do that. They try to get in the opponent's head. He doesn't have anything there that can help him change his mindset. At least we would think not. So when he has either he's in his own head or someone else is trying to get in his head, he steps out of the batter's box. He reaches down, grabs dirt, he crushes it, and then he tosses it away. Reason why he takes that dirt is anything that's happening in his head. He's crushing it so that he is making it go away, and then when he throws it away, it's gone. It's called toss the dirt. So let's everyone stand up. We're going to do this one. Toss the dirt together. All right, imagine whatever it is that could hold you back from achieving your goals. Reach down, pick up that dirt, put it in your hands, crush it, and then toss it. So the next time you have negativity, toss the dirt. All right, thank you so much. Give yourself a hand. Woo! Play up is taking those 5 intentional people so that they can help you, but it's also looking at experts, looking at athletes. What do they do to get rid of the negative during change, during adversity or setback? What do they put in place, and how we can use simple techniques like toss the dirt to move forward? Because we want to move forward. We don't want to be Henry and bounce back. We want to bounce up. So the third step is bouncing up. And bouncing up is the actions. And we've talked about mindset. We talked about getting rid of negativity. We talked about having the right people in your life. Bounce up is actions. It's also your thoughts, and it's the right people. One of the challenges of having a change is that it does play in our mindset. And whenever someone, it can be us, it could be someone else. Anytime we hear a negative word, just one negative word, it actually shuts down the brain's function and the logic and the reasoning centers of our brain. And then what happens is that negative word, it pushes our brain into the risk centers of our brain. And anytime we feel risk, our brain will shut down. So we have a couple of opportunities to change that. And the first thing is improvise. Improvise. What can you do right now with what you have? How can you take the current situation and flip it? How can you move from problem to solution? Improvising gives you that opportunity. So last week I was speaking at Seven Springs to a group of professionals, and one of the women there, one of the attendees, had mentioned that she was downsized out of her job for the second time, and she knew she needed to do something. Single mom, 2 children, she could not make it on unemployment alone. So she looked at what she had. She had time. She was great. Her learning curve was pretty short. So she went back and she went to a 9-week program in order to get her real estate license. And think about what it was happening during the pandemic. Like, houses were going like crazy. She improvised. She had the time to do it. She had the skills. She had the know-how. And her original job was working with the public. So she knew how to handle public. And her original job was in sales. So she had all the components there. All she needed was to change direction. And Improvise gives us that opportunity to do so. So back when I had mentioned to you that in 2016 I was diagnosed, well, in 2019 I was diagnosed a second time. And at that time, so I had 4 months where I could not work. I could not drive. I'll tell you what, driving was worse than not working. So could not drive, could not lift more than 5 pounds during this time. One of the things that I could do was do virtual meetings, virtual coaching, virtual training. And what was awesome about that, I got to be great at Zoom. This is prior to the pandemic. So I finally get released from all restrictions on March 1st, 2020. Yeah, guess what happened? You got it. 2 weeks later, I was back in the house. However, it was awesome because I had spent 4 months on Zoom before everybody else. During that time, I used that time, I improvised with what I had. I had a laptop, I had a chair, I had internet. So I was able to, in Zoom, that's like the best platform that I can use. I know other people like Teams. So but I was able to get really great at it so that whenever we got hit with the pandemic, I was ahead of the curve. So sometimes we are dealt with adversity that ends up working in our favor. So that's Improvise. So one of the things I would love to do right now is to have everybody stand up one more time for one last exercise here. So this is called the reset button. And the reset button, 2 reasons we want it. Number 1, it opens up our diaphragm here. It puts our shoulders back. It puts us in a better posture. For 2 reasons. Anytime we have negative thoughts going on in our head, we will go ahead and start slumping. We will lose our posture automatically because whatever happens in our brain happens in our body. The second one is, how many people use a smart device? Now I see someone has hers in her hands. We all do. Every time you're on that, your shoulders actually slump in and you get what's called tech neck. What's crazy is also called eye hunch. What's crazy is research shows that when we get tech neck and eye hunch, we actually have the same body language as someone who is clinically depressed. Isn't that an eye-opener? So that's why the reset button is a great one. So we're going to stand with our feet shoulder width apart. We're going to take our hands, put them together, clasp them to the outside, take them all the way up above, and then now we've opened up our diaphragm, we put our posture back, we have our chins back up, and we're going to say, I'm excited 3 times. I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. Yes! Give yourself a hand. Can sit down. Thank you so much. Now, the reason why you're saying I'm excited is because you are now engaging those happy hormones in your brain. Anytime you are nervous or anytime you're going through something, you're anxious, those two words. Do the reset button. Say, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. We're engaging the brain. We're engaging those happy hormones. And when we do that and we do the reset button, we put ourselves in a better position. When we have positive thoughts, we are more motivated. Because what happens is our brain is engaged in action to be motivated. Now, sometimes we might not be so motivated, but we can increase the dopamine in our brain in order to be more motivated with two simple things. Two simple actions. One, listening to music you like. It increases the dopamine in your brain. Two, meditation. Meditation. A 5-minute meditation will work. So the next time you are not feeling motivated, either crank up that music or meditate. Because that's going to engage that center of your brain that puts you into action. Now, I'm going to leave you with one last thought. Every single day, an unexpected event could happen. When you go into each day with the thought of, I'm taking control. Today, I am going to make it better. You have the opportunity to change your life. Whenever I was going through radiation, a young woman, gorgeous young woman, red hair, her name was Brittany. Brittany always had a smile on her face. Brittany was just one of those happy-go-lucky people. Even though she was in a field that maybe not have been so fun, she was always happy. One day, Brittany came in to the waiting room, and she came over and she said, MJ, we're not going to be able to do your treatment today. And I'm like, okay. And she said, if we get the machine fixed, I'll call you. I'm like, okay. It was 7:20 in the morning. People were scheduled every 10 minutes throughout the day. Brittany said, MJ, this shouldn't happen. This is the second time in 2 weeks that this has happened. I am so sorry. I'm like, Brittany, it's okay. Call me. I don't live far. Brittany concentrated on the 2 days the machine was down instead of the 300 and some days the machine was working. Brittany did call me a few hours later and said, come in. Now, what no is they have to stay there. That medical staff has to stay there until every single person has their treatment because you can't miss a day. So they could be there till 10, 11 o'clock at night. Talk about stress. So on my way in, I stopped at Oakmont Bakery. Anybody know Oakmont Bakery? Oh, yeah. And I picked up 2 dozen of cupcakes because their cupcakes, they're good. And when I walked into the waiting room, I had asked the receptionist's name, her name was Nancy. I said, can you have Brittany come out and get these? So Brittany came out, and Brittany, you could just see, she was just, her facial expressions, she was just, oh my goodness, just really downtrodden there. And I hand her these, and she's like, MJ, I should be doing this for you, not you doing this for me. I'm like, Brittany, no, you'll be here until probably 11 o'clock at night. Enjoy them. She went back into the private area. Brittany came out. She had a fanny pack around her, and she had beads, And she's going around and she's twirling them and she's handing everybody in the waiting room beads. Brittany didn't let the situation get her down. She didn't ask everyone, what is your opinion? What should I do? Can I do this? Brittany, in that moment, made a decision. She improvised with what she had. She turned it into a party. One of the gentlemen that she had given beads to, he was 6-something, looked like a professional football player. You should have seen him trying to get that around his head. It did not work. Brittany became a change maker that day. She improvised with what she had. She turned a negative into a positive. And when we're able to change someone's day, we change our own day too. Brittany that day bounced up. Thank you.